Commander Zaxthul had been staring at the same screen for 12 years. Every day he watched the empty space around Nexus Prime, the most important planet in the Galactic Empire. Nothing ever changed. The green dots on his screen always stayed in the same places. The defense systems always worked perfectly. No enemy had ever gotten close to this system. Today was different. A red dot appeared on his screen. Commander Zaxthul blinked his 4 eyes and looked again. The red dot was still there. His tentacles started to shake. Red dots meant enemy ships, but that was impossible. No enemy ship had ever made it past the outer defenses. "Computer, run a full scan," he said with his voice trembling. The computer's voice was calm. "Scan complete. One unknown vessel detected. Distance 2 million kilometers from Nexus Prime. Classification unknown. Technology level unknown." Commander Zaxthul's tentacles turned purple with fear. 2 million kilometers was very close. Too close. The outer defense ring was supposed to stop ships at 50 million kilometers. The middle defense ring stopped them at 20 million kilometers. The inner ring stopped them at 5 million kilometers. This ship had passed through all of them. "Sound the alarm," he whispered. Red lights flashed throughout the command center. Loud sirens wailed. Officers from different alien species ran to their stations. Some had tentacles like Commander Zaxthul. Others had scales or fur or metal skin. All of them looked scared. Lieutenant Vorgash, a large creature with 6 arms, rushed over. "Commander, what is the emergency?" Commander Zaxthul pointed at his screen with one trembling tentacle. "Look." Lieutenant Vorgash stared at the red dot. His 6 eyes grew wide. "That cannot be real. Run the scan again." "I already did. 3 times. What kind of ship is it?" "The computer says it does not know. The ship does not match any known design in our database." Lieutenant Vorgash's scales turned gray with worry. "How did it get so close?" "I do not know." Captain Mordine, the base commander, walked over quickly. She was from a race that looked like walking crystals. When she was angry, she glowed red. Right now, she was glowing very red. "Report," she demanded. "Unknown vessel 2 million kilometers out," Commander Zaxthul said quickly. Captain Mordine looked at the screen. Her crystal body flashed brighter red. "Impossible. Our defenses would have destroyed any ship long before it reached this distance." "The ship appears to be intact and functional," Lieutenant Vorgash said. "What do our spy satellites show?" Commander Zaxthul pressed buttons on his control panel. Images appeared on the main screen. Everyone in the command center stopped what they were doing to look. The ship was strange. It was not very large, maybe half the size of an Imperial destroyer. It had a basic metal hull with simple engines. It looked old and primitive. But it was sitting in space where no ship should be able to survive. "It looks like scrap metal," someone said. "Scrap metal that somehow made it through our best defenses," Captain Mordine replied. Her crystal body was now glowing so bright that other officers had to look away. "Sir, we are getting a message from Imperial Command," Lieutenant Vorgash announced. The main screen changed. Emperor Vorthak appeared. He was the most powerful being in the galaxy. His dark purple skin was covered with glowing marks. His 4 eyes were black as space. When he was angry, those eyes turned red. Right now, they were the deepest red anyone had ever seen. "Explain this failure," Emperor Vorthak said. His voice was cold and dangerous. Captain Mordine stepped forward. "Your Majesty, we are investigating how this vessel bypassed our defenses." "Investigating? There should be nothing to investigate. There should be no ship. Our defenses are perfect, yes, Your Majesty. The ship appears to be of unknown origin." Emperor Vorthak's eyes grew redder. "Unknown? Everything in this galaxy is known to the Empire. We have mapped every star system. We have studied every species. We have catalogued every type of ship." Commander Zaxthul found the courage to speak. "Your Majesty, the ship's design does not match anything in our records." "Then expand your records. Find out what this ship is and how it got here." "We are trying, Your Majesty, but no excuses." Emperor Vorthak's voice became louder. "This is Nexus Prime. This is the heart of our empire. If one primitive ship can reach our most protected world, what does that say about our power?" The officers in the command center looked at each other nervously. Nobody wanted to answer that question. "Sir," Lieutenant Vorgash said quietly, "the ship is not moving. It appears to be waiting." "Waiting for what?" "We do not know." Emperor Vorthak was quiet for a long moment. His red eyes stared at the image of the strange ship. "Scan it again. Use every scanner we have. I want to know everything about this vessel." Yes, Your Majesty. The scanning began. Powerful energy beams shot out from the defense stations around Nexus Prime. They hit the strange ship and bounced back with information. Commander Zax Thule watched the data appear on his screen. What he saw made his tentacles turn white with shock. Sir, you need to see this. Captain Mordine and Lieutenant Vorgash looked at the scan results. Captain Mordine's crystal body stopped glowing red and started flashing confused colors. That cannot be right, she said. What is it? Emperor Vorthak demanded. Commander Zaxtul's voice was barely a whisper. Your Majesty, according to our scans, the ship is not there. What do you mean? Our scanners show empty space, but our eyes show a ship. The scanners say nothing is there, but we can see it clearly. Emperor Vorthak's 4 eyes narrowed. Your scanners are broken. We have checked them 12 times. They are working perfectly. Then explain this contradiction. Nobody could answer. The ship was there, but it was also not there. It existed, but it did not exist. The most advanced scanning technology in the galaxy could not understand it. Sir, Lieutenant Vorgash said, we are receiving a transmission from the vessel. Put it on screen. The image changed. A new face appeared. It was a face none of them had ever seen before. The creature had smooth pink skin, small eyes, and hair on top of its head. It looked very strange and primitive. Greetings, the creature said. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the human vessel Defiance. I request permission to speak with someone in charge. The command center was completely silent. Every officer stared at the screen in shock. Human, Captain Mordine whispered. Emperor Vorthak's eyes turned from red to black. That species is not supposed to exist yet, Your Majesty, Commander Zaxthul asked. Humans are a primitive species from a distant star system. Our scouts report they have barely developed space travel. They cannot possibly have ships capable of reaching this system. But there is one right in front of us, Lieutenant Vorgash pointed out. Emperor Vorthak stared at Captain Chen's image. This changes everything. If humans have technology we do not understand, if they can bypass our defenses, then our entire expansion plan is in danger. What should we do, Your Majesty? Emperor Vorthak was quiet for a long moment. Around him, the most powerful military officers in the galaxy waited for orders. Outside, the impossible human ship waited in space, 2 million kilometers from the heart of the Empire. Prepare the 7th Fleet, Emperor Vorthak finally said. I want Admiral Krevan here immediately, and keep that human ship under constant watch. If it moves even 1 meter, I want to know about it. Yes, Your Majesty. The transmission ended. The command center remained silent except for the quiet beeping of computers and the distant sound of alarms. Commander Zaxthul looked at his screen one more time. The red dot was still there. The impossible ship that should not exist was still waiting patiently in space. He had a feeling that this day would be remembered for a very long time. Admiral Krevan arrived 6 hours later with 50 of the Empire's best warships. He was known throughout the galaxy as the greatest military mind of his time. His species had blue skin and silver eyes that could see in multiple dimensions. He had won every battle he had ever fought. He had destroyed entire star systems with a single command. But today, Admiral Krevan felt confused. His flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds, was 10 times larger than the human ship. His other warships formed a perfect circle around the small vessel. Each ship had enough weapons to destroy a planet. Together they could wipe out entire star systems. The human ship just sat there quietly. Open a channel to the human vessel, Admiral Krevan ordered. His communications officer, a tall alien with green tentacles, pressed several buttons. Channel open, Admiral. Human ship, this is Admiral Krevan of the Galactic Empire. You have entered restricted space without permission. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. Captain Chen's face appeared on the main screen. She looked calm and peaceful. She did not look afraid at all. Hello, Admiral Krevan. I was hoping to speak with you. Your reputation is well known throughout the galaxy. Admiral Krevan's silver eyes grew wide. How do you know my name? How do you know my reputation? We know many things about the Empire, Admiral. We have been watching you for a long time. Impossible. Humans do not have the technology to watch us. Captain Chen smiled. We have many technologies you do not know about, Admiral. For example, we know about Project Dark Star. Every officer on the bridge froze. Project Dark Star was the Empire's most secret weapon program. Only 12 people in the entire galaxy knew about it. That information is classified at the highest level. Admiral Krevan said slowly. "We also know about the Omega Protocols." Admiral Krevan felt his blood turn cold. The Omega Protocols were the Empire's emergency plans for destroying entire galaxies if necessary. Only the Emperor and his inner circle knew about them. "Who told you about the Omega Protocols?" he demanded. "Nobody told us, Admiral. We simply know." "That is impossible." Captain Chen's expression became more serious. "Many things about us will seem impossible to you, Admiral. For instance, did you know that you are planning to attack the Zephyrian colonies next month using 47 battlecruisers? Admiral Krevan stepped backward. That attack plan had been created just yesterday. It was locked in the most secure computers in the Empire. How could you possibly know that? The same way we know about your childhood pet, a small creature called a glimmer beast that you named Silver. The same way we know that you have a scar on your left arm from a training accident when you were 15 years old." Admiral Krevan looked down at his left arm. Under his uniform was indeed a scar from a training accident. Nobody alive knew about that except him. "Sir," his communications officer whispered, "the human ship is transmitting data." "What kind of data?" "Technical specifications. Ship designs. Weapon blueprints." Admiral Krevan looked at the incoming data on his screen. What he saw made his silver eyes turn almost white with shock. The human ship was sending them detailed plans for Imperial warships that had not been built yet. Ships that were still being designed in secret laboratories. Ships that would not be ready for 10 years. "These designs do not exist yet," he said quietly. "They do in our database, Admiral," Captain Chen replied. "Your database? How can you have plans for ships we have not built?" "That is a very good question. Perhaps we should meet face to face to discuss it." Admiral Krevan's tactical officer, a creature with 4 arms and red skin, leaned over. "Admiral, this could be a trap." "Yes, it could be," Admiral Krevan agreed. "But they have already demonstrated abilities we cannot understand. If they wanted to destroy us, they might have done so already. Sir, we have 50 warships. They have one small vessel. One small vessel that somehow appeared inside our most secure system without triggering any alarms." Admiral Krevan reminded him. Captain Chen spoke again. "Admiral, I understand your caution. But I assure you we did not come here to fight. We came here to prevent a war." "What war?" "The war that will begin next year when the Empire attacks Earth." Admiral Krevan felt his heart skip a beat. The invasion of Earth was planned for next year, but it was one of the most closely guarded secrets in the Empire. "How do you know about the Earth invasion?" "Because we are from Earth, Admiral. And because we have lived through what happens next." "Lived through it?" "The invasion has not happened yet." "Not yet. But it will. Unless we can prevent it." Admiral Krevan's science officer, a being made of living crystal, approached quickly. "Admiral, our sensors are detecting temporal distortions around the human ship." "Temporal distortions?" "Yes, sir. The ship appears to be existing in multiple time periods simultaneously." Admiral Krevan stared at Captain Chen's image. "Are you claiming to be time travelers?" "I am claiming nothing, Admiral. I am simply asking for a meeting. 1 hour of your time to explain our situation." "Sir," the tactical officer said, "this is highly irregular. We should follow standard protocols and demand their surrender." "Standard protocols do not apply here," Admiral Krevan replied. "Nothing about this situation is standard." He thought for a moment. In all his years of military service, he had never encountered anything like this. The humans knew things they should not know. They had technology they should not have. They were somehow connected to time itself. "Very well, Captain Chen, I will meet with you. But the meeting will take place aboard my flagship under heavy guard." "I understand, Admiral. However, I must bring one of my officers with me. He is essential to explaining our situation." "Agreed. You will be scanned for weapons and monitored at all times." "That is acceptable." Admiral Krevan turned to his officers. "Prepare Conference Room 7. Full security measures. I want guards from 3 different species, all armed with different types of weapons." "Yes, sir." "And contact Imperial Intelligence. I want their best interrogation specialist here immediately." "Admiral," Captain Chen said, "before we meet, I want to give you something to think about." "What?" "In exactly 47 minutes, you will receive an urgent message from the Rigel system. The message will report that 3 Imperial patrol ships have disappeared without a trace. The ships that disappeared are the Nebula Hunter, the Starpiercer, and the Voidwalker." Admiral Krevan wrote down the ship names. "If this does not happen, then you will know we are lying and you can destroy our ship immediately." The transmission ended. Admiral Krivon stood on his bridge, surrounded by the most advanced military technology in the galaxy, feeling more confused than he had ever felt in his life. "Sir," his communications officer said, "what are your orders?" "We wait 47 minutes. The time passed slowly. Every officer on the bridge watched the chronometer count down. Admiral Krivon found himself hoping the message would not come. If it did, it would mean the humans could predict the future, and that possibility frightened him more than any enemy he had ever faced. 46 minutes passed. 47 minutes. The communications panel began beeping. "Admiral, urgent message from the Rigel system." Admiral Krivon's hands were shaking as he accepted the transmission. "Admiral Krivon, this is Base Commander Thexnal. We have an emergency. 3 of our patrol ships have vanished from our sensors. No distress signals. No wreckage. They simply disappeared." "What are the names of the missing ships?" "The Nebula Hunter, the Starpiercer, and the Void Walker." Admiral Krivon closed his eyes. The 3 names matched exactly what Captain Chen had predicted. "Admiral, are you there?" "Yes, Commander." "Continue your search and report any findings immediately." He ended the transmission and looked around at his officers. Every face showed the same expression of shock and disbelief. "Sir," the tactical officer said quietly. "How is this possible?" "I do not know," Admiral Krivon replied. "But I intend to find out." He activated the communication system. "Captain Chen, prepared a beam aboard my ship. It appears we have much to discuss." "Thank you, Admiral. We will transport over in 10 minutes. Admiral Krivon turned to his security chief. "Double the guards, triple the scans, and have our best medical team standing by. I have a feeling we are about to learn things that will change everything we thought we knew about the universe." As he walked toward the conference room, Admiral Krivon wondered if he was making the biggest mistake of his career, or if he was about to discover the most important truth in galactic history. Conference Room 7 was the most secure meeting place on Admiral Krivon's flagship. The walls were made of quantum steel that could stop any weapon. 6 guards from different alien species stood at attention, each carrying weapons designed to kill different types of enemies. Hidden scanners watched every movement. Secret recording devices captured every word. Captain Sarah Chen walked into the room calmly, as if she visited Imperial warships every day. Behind her came another human, a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us," Captain Chen said as she sat down. Admiral Krivon studied both humans carefully. They looked exactly like the primitive species his scouts had described. But their calm confidence suggested they were anything but primitive. "You are either the bravest beings I have ever met, or the most foolish," Admiral Krivon said. "Perhaps both," Captain Chen replied with a small smile. The other human stepped forward. "Admiral, my name is Dr. James Morrison. I'm a temporal physicist." "A what?" "I study time, Admiral. How it works, how it can be changed, how it can be traveled through." Admiral Krivon's science officer, Commander Yixtal, leaned forward. "Time travel is impossible. Every scientist in the galaxy agrees on this." Dr. Morrison nodded. "Every scientist in this time period, yes. But science advances. What seems impossible today becomes simple tomorrow." "You claim to be time travelers?" "Not exactly," Captain Chen said. "We are temporal refugees." "Explain." Captain Chen placed a small device on the table. It began projecting a 3-dimensional image of space. Admiral Krivon recognized several star systems, including the one they were in right now. "This is our galaxy as it exists today," Captain Chen said. "Peaceful, stable, billions of civilizations living and growing." The image changed. The same star systems appeared, but now they were twisted and broken. Some stars had gone dark, others burned too brightly. Space itself looked torn and damaged. "This is our galaxy as it will exist in 50 years if current events continue unchanged." Admiral Krivon stared at the broken image. "What happened?" "The Galactic Empire happened," Dr. Morrison said quietly. "That is impossible. The Empire brings order and peace to the galaxy." Captain Chen pressed another button on her device. The image zoomed in on Earth's solar system. The sun was still shining, but Earth was gone. Where the planet should have been, there was only empty space. "Next year the Empire will invade Earth," Captain Chen said. "The invasion will be successful. Humanity will be defeated. Earth will be destroyed." Admiral Krivon's intelligence officer, a creature with purple skin and no eyes, spoke up. "Our invasion plans call for conquest, not destruction." "Plans change," Dr. Morrison said. During the battle, human scientists will activate an experimental weapon. They will call it the Temporal Cascade device. It was designed to send a small area backward in time, allowing Earth to prepare for the invasion. Did it work? Too well. The device tore a hole in time itself. The hole grew larger and larger, consuming not just Earth but the entire solar system. Then it spread to other systems. Admiral Krevan looked at the broken galaxy image again. How many systems were destroyed? 47, Captain Chen said, including most of the Empire's core worlds. But if the Empire's worlds were destroyed, how do you know about the invasion plans? Dr. Morrison stepped closer to the projection. Because some of us survived. Not in space, but in time. When the cascade began, a few human ships managed to escape backward through the temporal rift. Backward? Yes, we traveled back in time to this moment. To this exact day, to prevent the cascade from ever happening. Admiral Krevan's tactical officer laughed. This story is ridiculous. Time travel. Temporal rifts. Destroyed galaxies. You expect us to believe this? Captain Chen looked at him calmly. What would convince you? Proof. Real evidence. Captain Chen pressed another button on her device. The room filled with new voices. Admiral Krevan recognized his own voice, speaking words he had never said. Attention all Imperial forces. This is Admiral Krevan. The temporal cascade has reached the Nexus system. All ships are ordered to retreat immediately. Repeat, all ships retreat. The cascade cannot be stopped. The recording ended. Admiral Krevan felt cold inside. I never said those words. Not yet, Dr. Morrison agreed. But you will in the timeline we came from. How do we know this recording is real? Captain Chen smiled sadly. Because we also have this. She pressed the device again. This time Admiral Krevan heard his own voice again, but older and full of pain. Personal log final entry. Admiral Krevan recording. The cascade has consumed everything. My fleet is gone. My homeworld is gone. In 3 hours, this ship will be pulled into the temporal rift. I was wrong about humanity. We all were. They were never our enemy. They were trying to protect themselves from us. And now, because of our invasion, the entire galaxy will pay the price. If somehow this message survives, if someone finds it in the ruins of time itself, know this. The war could have been prevented. It should have been prevented. We had a choice and we chose wrong. The recording ended. The room was completely silent. Admiral Krevan stared at the device. The voice in the recording was definitely his own, but older and filled with regret. How many people died? He asked quietly. 17 billion, Dr. Morrison answered. Human, imperial, and neutral species alike. And you came back to prevent this. We came back to try, Captain Chen said. But changing the past is dangerous. We cannot simply tell you not to invade Earth. That might create a different timeline with different problems. We have to be very careful. Commander Yigstall, the science officer, had been studying the device. The technology in this device is at least 500 years ahead of anything we have. How did primitive humans develop it? We had help, Dr. Morrison said. In the timeline we came from after Earth was destroyed, some Imperial scientists joined the human survivors. They felt guilty about the invasion. Together we developed time travel technology. Which Imperial scientists? Dr. Morrison looked uncomfortable. Some of them are in this room right now. Everyone looked at each other suspiciously. I would never help humans, the tactical officer declared. Not now, Captain Chen agreed. But after you see your entire civilization destroyed because of a war that could have been prevented, your feelings might change. Admiral Krevan stood up and walked to the window. Outside he could see the stars. They looked peaceful and eternal. It was hard to imagine them twisted and broken. If your story is true, what do you want from us? A chance to show you another future, Captain Chen said. A future where humans and the Empire work together instead of fighting each other. The Empire does not negotiate with primitive species. We are not primitive, Admiral. We simply appear that way. Our ship looks basic because we designed it to pass through time without creating paradoxes. Our weapons look simple because we do not wish to fight. Our technology seems limited because we are hiding our true capabilities. Dr. Morrison activated another device. Suddenly, the air in the room shimmered. For just a moment, Admiral Krevan could see through the walls of his own ship. He could see the engine room, the weapons bay, the crew quarters. The device was scanning his entire flagship in seconds. Your ship is impressive, Dr. Morrison said, but it has a weakness in the quantum matrix of Deck 7. In exactly 18 days, that weakness will cause a power failure that kills 12 of your crew members. Admiral Creven turned quickly. How could you possibly know that? Because in our timeline it already happened. We have the maintenance records from your ship, Admiral. We know about every repair, every upgrade, every accident that will happen to this vessel over the next 30 years. 30 years? Your ship survives until the cascade reaches this system, Captain Chen explained. You fight well, Admiral. You save many lives. But in the end, even the greatest military mind in the galaxy cannot fight time itself. Admiral Creven sat down heavily. If the humans were telling the truth, everything he had worked for his entire life would be destroyed because of a war that had not even started yet. What exactly are you proposing? A meeting with Emperor Vorthak, Captain Chen said. A chance to show him what we have shown you. A chance to prevent 17 billion deaths. The Emperor does not meet with representatives of primitive species. Then perhaps it is time for the Emperor to learn that humanity is not as primitive as he believes. Admiral Creven looked at the device still projecting the image of the broken galaxy. 47 star systems destroyed, his own voice filled with regret and despair. Billions of lives ended because of a war that could be prevented. If I arrange this meeting, he said slowly, and your story proves to be false, you will both be executed. And if our story proves to be true, Captain Chen replied, billions of lives will be saved. Admiral Creven made his decision. Emperor Vorthak's personal flagship was the size of a small moon. It contained entire cities, massive weapons that could destroy stars, and technology that most species could not even imagine. When the Emperor decided to come personally to Nexus Prime, every ship in the system prepared for his arrival. The Emperor's ship appeared in a flash of purple light. It was black as deep space, covered with glowing symbols that hurt to look at. Just seeing it made weaker species feel afraid. Admiral Creven had seen the ship many times before, but today it made him nervous. The Emperor transported directly to Admiral Creven's flagship with his full guard. 20 of the galaxy's most dangerous warriors surrounded him. Each guard was from a different species, each trained to kill in ways that others could not imagine. Emperor Vorthak walked into Conference Room 7 like he owned the universe. His dark purple skin glowed with inner power. His 4 red eyes looked at everything and missed nothing. When he spoke, his voice made the walls shake. Admiral Creven, this meeting had better be worth my time, Your Majesty. I believe it is the most important meeting in galactic history. Emperor Vorthak looked at Captain Chen and Dr. Morrison. They stood calmly, showing no fear at all. This surprised him. Most beings could not even look at him directly. These are the humans. Yes, Your Majesty. They look exactly as primitive as our report suggested. Captain Chen stepped forward. Your Majesty, appearances can be misleading. Emperor Vorthak's eyes grew brighter red. Did this creature just address me without permission? Your Majesty, Admiral Creven said quickly. They have information that you need to hear. Information? What could primitive humans possibly tell me that I do not already know? Dr. Morrison activated the same device he had used before. The room filled with the 3-dimensional image of the broken galaxy. They can tell you about this, Dr. Morrison said. Emperor Vorthak stared at the image. He recognized the star systems, but they were twisted and wrong. What is this supposed to be? The future, Your Majesty, Captain Chen said. The future that will happen if you invade Earth next year. The invasion of Earth is classified information. We know about more than just the invasion, Dr. Morrison said. He pressed a button on the device. The image changed to show detailed battle plans. Emperor Vorthak's 4 eyes grew very wide. The battle plans were exactly the same as the ones locked in his most secure computers. Plans that had been created only yesterday. Where did you get these plans? From the future, Captain Chen said simply. Impossible. Is it? Then how do we know that tomorrow at exactly noon, you will receive a message from your son, Prince Zixthal? The message will say that his military training is going well, and he will ask for permission to lead the advanced scout mission to Earth. Emperor Vorthak felt his blood freeze. His son had not sent any such message yet, and the advanced scout mission was so secret that only 3 people knew about it. Lucky guess, he said. But his voice was not as confident as before. Captain Chen continued. The message will also mention that Prince Zixthal has been having strange dreams about flying through broken stars. He will ask you what the dreams mean. Emperor Vorthak stepped backward. His son had been having those exact dreams for weeks. He had planned to ask about them in his next message, but he had not told anyone about the dreams. How could you possibly know about my son's dreams? Because we lived through all of this before, Your Majesty, Dr. Morrison said. In our timeline, you received that message. Prince Zixthal led the scout mission, and Prince Zixthal died when Earth activated the temporal cascade device. My son died? Your son, your daughter, Princess Morgan, your brother, General Thakmor, and 47 million other Imperial citizens, Captain Chen said sadly. Emperor Vorthak's guards moved closer, ready to kill the humans for speaking such terrible words, but Emperor Vorthak raised his hand to stop them. Show me, he demanded. Dr. Morrison pressed another button. The room filled with the sound of battle. Emperor Vorthak heard explosions, screaming, and the sound of ships being destroyed. Then he heard a voice that made his heart stop beating. It was Prince Zixthal's voice, but older and full of pain. Father, if you can hear this, the humans have activated some kind of weapon. Space itself is tearing apart. My ship is breaking up. The cascade is spreading faster than we can retreat. Father, tell Mother The recording ended in static. Emperor Vorthak was quiet for a long time. His red eyes had turned completely black. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. My son, in our timeline, you never got to say goodbye to him. Captain Chen said gently. The cascade spread too fast. It consumed your entire family, your homeworld, everything you had ever cared about. And this cascade was caused by the Earth invasion? Yes, Your Majesty. The humans were desperate. They created a weapon designed to send a small area backward in time, hoping to warn their past selves about the invasion. But the weapon was unstable. Instead of sending a small area back, it tore a hole in time itself. Dr. Morrison activated the device again. This time it showed Earth's solar system. Emperor Vorthak watched as a bright light appeared near Earth, then grew larger and larger until it swallowed the entire system. The hole kept growing. Dr. Morrison continued. It consumed one star system after another. Nothing could stop it. Not Imperial technology, not weapons, not even running away. Time itself was unraveling. Emperor Vorthak stared at the image of the growing cascade. How many systems did it destroy? 47, including most of the Empire's core worlds. And you escaped by traveling backward through this hole? Yes, Your Majesty. A few of our ships managed to enter the cascade just before it consumed our location. Instead of being destroyed, we were thrown backward in time to this moment. Emperor Vorthak walked to the window and looked out at the stars. They looked peaceful and beautiful. It was impossible to imagine them being torn apart by time itself. Why should I believe this story? Captain Chen and Dr. Morrison looked at each other. Then Captain Chen activated a different device. Suddenly, their human ship became visible outside the window, but it looked different. Instead of one ship, there seemed to be dozens of ships in the same location, all slightly transparent. Because our ship exists in multiple time periods simultaneously, Captain Chen explained. We are not just from one future timeline. We represent survivors from many different possible futures where the cascade occurred. Dr. Morrison pointed out the window. Some of those ships come from timelines where you invaded Earth with a larger fleet. Some come from timelines where you invaded earlier. Some come from timelines where you tried to negotiate first but still ended up at war. In every timeline where the Empire and humanity fight, the cascade happens. Every timeline? Everyone. We have tried to prevent this disaster 37 times in different ways. This is attempt number 38. Emperor Vorthak turned back to face them. What happened in the other attempts? Sometimes you did not believe us and invaded anyway. Sometimes you believed us but decided to destroy Earth from a safe distance instead of invading. Sometimes you tried to capture our time travel technology for the Empire. Every attempt ended with the cascade. Then why do you think this attempt will be different? Captain Chen smiled sadly. Because this is the first time we brought families. Families? Dr. Morrison pressed another button. The images in the room changed to show the interior of the human ship. Emperor Vorthak saw not just soldiers and scientists, but children playing in corridors. Old people sitting together and talking. Families eating meals and laughing. Our ship contains 3,000 people, Your Majesty. They are not all soldiers or scientists. Most of them are just ordinary families who survived the cascade and fled backward through time. They are people who lost everything because of a war that should never have happened. Emperor Vorthak studied the images carefully. He saw human children who looked happy and innocent. He saw old humans who looked wise and kind. These did not look like enemies. They looked like people. "What do you want from me?" "A chance, Your Majesty," Captain Chen said. "A chance to show you that humans and the Empire can work together instead of fighting. A chance to create a future where the cascade never happens. The Empire does not form alliances with primitive species, then perhaps it is time for the Empire to change." Emperor Vorthak was quiet for several minutes. Outside the window, the human ship continued to flicker between different time periods. Inside the conference room, the most powerful being in the galaxy struggled with the most important decision in galactic history. Finally, he spoke. "If I agree to cancel the Earth invasion, what guarantee do I have that humans will not become a threat to the Empire?" "None," Captain Chen said honestly. "But if you proceed with the invasion, we guarantee that everything you care about will be destroyed." Emperor Vorthak looked at the images of the broken galaxy one more time. Then he looked at the images of human families. Then he looked at his own reflection in the window and thought about his son's dreams of flying through broken stars. "I need time to consider this. Time is the one thing we cannot give you." "Your Majesty," Dr. Morrison said urgently, "our ship is becoming unstable. The temporal distortions are growing stronger. Soon we will be pulled back into the time stream whether we want to be or not." As if to prove his P. For 6 hours, Emperor Vorthak sat alone in his private chambers. He stared at recordings of his son's voice from the future. He looked at images of the broken galaxy. He thought about everything he had built, everything he had conquered, everything he might lose. His advisors waited outside. Admiral Creven waited on his ship. Captain Chen and Dr. Morrison waited in their guarded room. The entire Imperial fleet waited for orders. And somewhere in space, the human ship flickered in and out of existence as time itself began to tear it apart. With 1 hour left, Emperor Vorthak made his choice. He walked back into Conference Room 7. His 4 red eyes had turned a deep purple, the color that meant he had made a decision that would change everything. "Captain Chen, Dr. Morrison," he said formally, "I have reached my decision." Everyone in the room held their breath. The invasion of Earth is cancelled. Admiral Creven felt relief flood through his body. Captain Chen smiled for the first time since they had met. Dr. Morrison closed his eyes and whispered something that sounded like a prayer. "Furthermore," Emperor Vorthak continued, "I am declaring a new imperial law. Earth and the human species are now under the protection of the Galactic Empire. Any attack on humanity will be considered an attack on the Empire itself." "Your Majesty," one of his advisors said, "this is unprecedented. The Empire does not protect primitive species. The Empire protects whatever I say it protects," Emperor Vorthak replied firmly. "And these humans are clearly not as primitive as we believed." Captain Chen stepped forward. "Thank you, Your Majesty. You have saved billions of lives, I hope so. But canceling the invasion is only the first step. If your ship represents survivors from multiple timelines, you must know what comes next." Dr. Morrison nodded. "In some timelines, canceling the invasion was enough to prevent the cascade. In others, different conflicts arose that led to the same disaster. The key is not just avoiding war, but building genuine cooperation between our species." "What do you propose?" "A permanent human embassy," Captain Chen said. "Our ship will remain here as a symbol of the new alliance between humanity and the Empire. We will share our knowledge of temporal mechanics in exchange for the Empire's protection and friendship." "And what of your advanced technology?" "The Empire could benefit greatly from time travel capabilities." Dr. Morrison shook his head. "Time travel is too dangerous, Your Majesty. We have seen what happens when it is misused. We will share knowledge of safer technologies, medical advances, energy systems, communication methods. But the secrets of time travel must be carefully guarded." Emperor Vorthak considered this acceptable. "But I have conditions of my own." "What conditions?" "First, your ship will be monitored at all times by Imperial sensors. Second, any humans who leave your ship must be accompanied by Imperial escorts. Third, you must provide advance warning of any temporal disturbances or future threats you become aware of." "Agreed," Captain Chen said. "There is one more condition. I want to meet with the families on your ship. I want to speak with the children, the elderly, the ordinary people. If I am to trust humanity, I need to understand them." "Of course, Your Majesty." Emperor Vorthak activated his communication device. "Attention all Imperial forces. This is Emperor Vorthak. By my direct order, the planned military action against Earth is permanently cancelled. Furthermore, the human species is now under Imperial protection. Any questions or concerns should be directed to Admiral Creven. The communication ended. Around the galaxy, thousands of Imperial ships received the message. Invasion fleets turned around. Weapons were powered down. War plans were deleted from computer systems. But outside the window, the human ship was flickering more violently than ever. Dr. Morrison, Admiral Creven said urgently, "Your ship appears to be in distress." Dr. Morrison looked out the window and his face went pale. The timeline is stabilizing, but the process is causing massive temporal stress. Our ship exists in multiple time periods simultaneously. As the new timeline takes hold, the other versions of our ship are being erased from existence. Is that dangerous?
For us, yes.
Our ship might be torn apart as the timeline settles into its new configuration. Emperor Vorthak made a quick decision. Transport everyone from your ship immediately. They can take shelter on Imperial vessels until the situation stabilizes. Your Majesty, that is very generous. But there are 3,000 people on our ship. The Imperial fleet has room for 3,000 refugees. Over the next hour, human families began transporting to Imperial ships throughout the system. Emperor Vorthak watched from his flagship as children and elderly people materialized on his decks, looking around in wonder at the alien technology surrounding them. He met personally with many of them. An old human woman named Margaret told him about her grandson who had died in the cascade. A young human father named David showed him pictures of Earth before its destruction. Twin human children named Amy and Alex asked him what it was like to rule a whole galaxy. "Do you really have 4 eyes?" little Amy asked. "Yes, I do. That must be useful for seeing things." "It is. I can see many things that others cannot." "Can you see the future?" Emperor Vorthak looked down at the small human child. "Sometimes. And sometimes others help me see it more clearly." As the hours passed, the human ship outside continued to flicker and fade. But something strange was happening. Instead of being destroyed, it was becoming more solid. The multiple overlapping versions were merging into a single, stable vessel. Dr. Morrison monitored the process from the Imperial flagship science bay. "The timeline is settling," he reported. "The Cascade future has been erased. Our ship is adapting to the new reality." "What does that mean for your people?" Emperor Vorthak asked. "It means we are no longer refugees from a destroyed future. We are now ambassadors from a living Earth. And your memories of the Cascade? We will always remember what could have happened. It is our responsibility to make sure it never does." 3 days later, the situation had stabilized completely. The human ship had returned to normal space-time. The Imperial fleet had stood down from invasion status. And Emperor Vorthak had issued a galaxy-wide declaration establishing the first temporal accords. The accords were simple, but revolutionary. Any species that discovered time travel technology was required to report it to a joint Imperial Human Council. Any attempt to change the past for military purposes was forbidden. And any species that threatened the stability of time itself would face the combined forces of humanity and the Empire. Captain Chen was appointed as the first human temporal ambassador. Her ship, renamed the Bridge of Time, became a permanent embassy orbiting Nexus Prime. Dr. Morrison established a research station where Imperial and human scientists worked together to understand the mysteries of time travel. But the most important change was in Emperor Vorthak himself. The proud ruler who had once believed the Empire was superior to all other species now understood that cooperation was stronger than conquest. He kept a picture on his desk of little Amy and Alex, the human twin children who had asked him about his 4 eyes. When his advisors suggested new military campaigns against primitive species, he would look at that picture and remember what he had learned. Primitive was often just another word for different, and different did not mean enemy. 6 months after the crisis, Emperor Vorthak received a message that made him smile. It was from his son, Prince Zixthol, who was now training at the Joint Imperial Human Academy on Nexus Prime. "Father," the message said, "I have been learning about human culture from Ambassador Chen. Did you know that humans have something called friendship? It is like an alliance, but based on caring rather than mutual benefit. I think I'm beginning to understand why you chose cooperation over conquest." The humans have taught me that the strongest empires are not built on fear, but on trust. Emperor Vorthak read the message 3 times. His son was alive, learning and growing into a leader who would be better than his father. The Cascade future was truly gone. Outside his window, the Bridge of Time orbited peacefully around Nexus Prime. On its hull, symbols from dozens of species created a message that could be read by anyone in the galaxy. Time heals all wounds, but wisdom prevents them. Admiral Krivan, now serving as the first Imperial liaison to humanity, often looked at those words. He remembered the day when a small human ship had appeared where no ship should have been able to go. He remembered the panic, the confusion, and the impossible choice they had all faced. Most of all, he remembered that sometimes the greatest victories came not from defeating enemies, but from discovering that they were never enemies at all. The galaxy was at peace. Time flowed forward as it should, and in the space between the stars, former refugees from a destroyed future worked alongside former conquerors to build a better tomorrow for all species. It was, Emperor Vorthak thought, a much better story than the one they had almost lived through.